Welcome back to the CNT podcast. I'm Justin Yormark. I'm here with
Dylan Traeger, thank you for having me, Justin.
yes. Usually Tommy does the intro, so a little weird seeing my face doing talking on the Instagram at least. I mean, if you're watching the podcast, you always see my face when I'm on, but for the Instagram sake of it, you don't usually see my face. Tommy, big man Tommy's at work this morning, so me and Dylan are filling in.
Yes, sir. And we got a great card of the week. Might be before your time, Justin, but we got a 2015 Topps
Only the
Will
same age.
Ferrell, Will Ferrell rookie card.
It's not before my time.
This is a real card too, for anyone
Uh,
wondering. So back in like 2015, there was a movie about Will Ferrell where he played for like 15 MLB teams in
movies
like,
movies a bit of a
all
stretch.
right, a documentary slash movie. He played for like 15 teams in like a 1 week span. It's got his stats on the back. He threw a third of an inning for the Dodgers. He's got the lowest ERA of all time in MLB history.
Actually, I believe it was like he played every position
Yeah, yeah.
all in one day during spring training. At least that's what the documentary says.
Here it is. He faced one batter as a pitcher, retiring San Diego Padres Rico Noel on a bunt. It says Farrell tied the all-time record for lowest career spring training ERA at 0. So this card,
The
where was I?
goat.
I'm trying to think how I got this, and I know where I got this. I was in, I think, Atlanta. Was I in Atlanta? I was somewhere on a road trip, and they had a gift card, like a gift shop, and they had the packs of 2015 archives. I didn't know these were in there, but they were like $5 a pack, so I bought like two or three of them, and I pulled this, and you can imagine I was pretty shocked. And I've had this since then. I got to get it graded, but
So I didn't know the I knew there were cards of him. I didn't know they were just like in the archive packs.
yeah, they're in the archives packs. I used to have one of him on the Giants, and I sold it. There's also autographs too. There's
Yeah.
like on card autographs. I don't know how much it's worth, but it's not a card I'd ever move. It's really cool. I think I was at the Coca-Cola Museum or Factory in Atlanta, and for
Was
some reason they had like archives packs in the gift shop for some reason. I don't know.
That's funny. Was this like the road trip down to dropping you off at college?
No, no,
Oh
this was like
no.
this was like 8 years ago when I was going to
Oh.
Florida. We were on a road trip, and I've had this for like 8 years now. It's not something I'd ever move.
Mhm. I see. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, I believe he played. I know he was with the Mariners for some. I think he was like the third base coach for the Mariners, and
Yeah,
then
it's
I'm pretty sure he played for the Cubs too, but I don't remember. I watched the documentary like a long time ago.
yeah, he did. I remember when he played for the Sox, or maybe it was a team playing the Sox. They brought him in from one game to another on a helicopter,
Yeah, that was like his
and
last one.
the helicopter landed on the field, and I thought that was really cool.
Hmm.
A great documentary. If you haven't watched it, highly recommend it.
Yeah, so Farrell played the field for 9 of the 10 teams, serving only as a DH for the White Sox, but batted for just two of them, the Sox and the Cubs. So
So
he,
what's funny? Wait, what's funny is they actually put him on Baseball Reference.
mhm.
If you look it up,
So he was a third base coach for the Cubs. But he did have an at bat for them. So he only had two at bats, which was with the White Sox and the Cubs.
yeah, he struck out in both of them.
Yeah, but kind
I
of
think
funny
it's
that
hilarious. They put him on Baseball Reference, and
the
it shows you all.
fact,
It shows you the transactions too. So it says they're all on March 12th. They're all on the same
yeah,
day,
all
and
in one day.
it says the Cubs traded him for a washing machine,
That's pretty
and
good
then
of a Chon.
he was traded to the Diamondbacks for a churro dog and a Diamondbacks baseball or a Diamondbacks bat.
That's a better return than the washing machine. I want a Diamondbacks hat.
And then the Diamondbacks released him, and when the Reds signed him, they released the players to make room for him.
Imagine playing your whole life to get to the MLB level, to get an invite to spring training, just to get cut because your team wants to sign Will Ferrell for like 10 minutes of gameplay.
I don't know. I can't believe it.
I can't believe that Emily would actually make them cut them.
I think it was a great story, and I loved watching the film too. And I don't know how long it took for all of it to happen. Like maybe it was like 1 week of the spring training going on, but just a great show all around.
I mean,
And I
they
give
claim it was
props to the
all in a
MLB.
day. They claim it
It,
was all in a day.
it wasn't all in a day.
There's no way.
To play 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
10.
Well, I also remember like they'd have like in the middle of a game, he would just get traded to the team he was playing.
Yeah. I mean, so that strategic two places at once. Maybe it was in a day.
No chance.
We'll never know. It's a well kept secret by Will Ferrell.
That is. All right, you want to dive into the topic for today?
Yeah. You want to start out?
Yeah, I just lost my tab. Okay, here we go. So
Not
today
the tabs.
we're talking about players going into contract years that can shape their legacy, or players going into like end of career and how they could shape their legacy. Kind of, did I say that right? I think I kind of twisted
Yeah.
it up a bit.
I mean, it's players and teams with like a lot to gain or lose, I think.
Yeah,
Because I don't know about you, I have some teams in mind.
I only have one, but for players, like one player who could go into a huge contract year, I think is Trevor Bauer. And for me, as much as I love watching Bauer on the field, I'm really unsure if I fully support him or not, since it's kind of unclear whether he is fully guilty or not. I'm not really sure where the case stands right now, so I'm not going to get into that.
So just to Robin, we I don't know if you watched last week's episode. Uh Me, Tommy, and Ava all had like talked about it. It'd be very strategic on how and what we said, but regarding if he was innocent or not, he was not proven innocent. The court was just the case was thrown out in civil court for lack of evidence because legally they couldn't use some of the evidence there was.
Right. So that's I don't really know much about the court case itself, so I'm not going to get into that or pick a side on it. But moving on from that, the Dodgers are expected to release Bauer, and I think he's obviously going to tie into a team as a starter. I'm expecting, a contending team or a team in need of a starting pitcher to sign him. And kind of backtracking, he's only a couple seasons removed from a Cy Young season, 1.7 ERA as a starter, and an MVP candidate. His most recent season, he threw a 2.6 ERA in 100 innings. I don't think he's going to keep throwing like that. He is a couple years removed from the league, but I think it's realistic for him to throw under a 3 ERA. I think that's pretty realistic.
Yeah.
Uh, my prediction, where will Bauer land? I've got him going to the Angels, Los Angeles. I think they're a team really close to being a playoff team. Uh, they've definitely lacked starting pitching the last few years. And this year, I think they've really closed it in on filling in the gaps. They signed all-star starter Tyler Anderson. They signed Brandon Drury. I think Bauer is what they need to become a real playoff team.
See, putting everything that's happened off the field aside, Bauer would be a great fit for the Angels, and I do think like if there was no controversy around Bauer, he was just a regular free agent this year, coming off like missing 2 seasons because of an injury. I think the Angels would for sure go for him. My question is, how many teams are willing to take the risk of signing him, knowing that some fans are they're going to get a lot of backlash from some fans. Some fans will be happy for it. The fans that think he's in believe he's innocent are gonna think that's straight for them. The fans who don't, they're gonna receive a lot of backlash. I'm wondering what teams are willing to take that risk. I'm thinking for the Angels, if Trout and Otani don't voice unwanting of Bowell, I think they have to take that risk because they need to do something. Like they have Trout and Otani, they have to do something.
Well, you could look at it that way, and there's a lot of owners who don't care about that aspect of the risk. Like I'd say the Yankees are a team like that. The Mets. I think there's a few other teams. Like I wouldn't leave it out of the ruling for him to go to like a Yankees or Mets team either, because those are teams where we've seen guys like Roldis Chapman, who's done things off the field, A-Rod, who's done things off the field that still get kept on the team. Uh, I don't know, just a possibility.
Yeah, no, I definitely think a team will sign him, and there's teams that won't care. But the Angels, I would not say is one of those teams that will completely disregard it. Like, I think there's a chance they might not want to touch him because of what has happened.
Hmm.
And but there's also a chance that I'm completely wrong and front offices don't see it that way at all, and they'll do everything they can to get
Right.
Raul.
Yeah.
It could go
Who's your
either
next
way.
guy?
My next guy. Okay, so again, little backtrack to last episode. I got flamed, but I was happy with the signing for the Cubs. Cody Bellinger. Now, I did say it was an overpay, and I stand by that. 17.5 million was an overpay for Cody Bellinger. But you're not paying for him for the player he was last year. You're paying him for the player he could become again that he was in 2018 when he was the MVP.
Hmm.
With that being said, a 1 year, $17.5 million deal, that is a prove it deal. He has to go out there and prove that he can be an all-star. He can be an MVP candidate. Like, if he has another dud season, he'll never see more than 5 million on a contract again. But if he goes out and has an MVP type of season, his career is reinstated. Like, when we came up with this topic on players or teams with the most to gain or lose, my first thought was Cody Bellinger.
Well, I don't think there's any chance of him having an MVP season this year. I think could I see
Well,
him hitting 260? Yeah. Could I see him hitting 25 or 30 home runs? Yeah. I think he's got like a lot of like ease off of his back since leaving LA and needs a fresh start. And for the Cubs, Jed Hoyer said he's willing to spend the money on whatever. So I think it's definitely like if they've got the money, you're better off spending it on a guy like him who could turn out to something. But I don't see him evolving anything near back what he was in 2019.
yeah, no,
And
I'm not saying he'll be an MVP candidate. I'm just saying, like, he could be a lot better than he was, and that's what
well, I
he
agree.
needs to
Yeah,
do.
yeah. Could he hit 260, 30 home runs and be the only Cubs All Star? I mean, I could see that.
Well, he won't be the only Cub All Star.
Uh,
Nico
I don't know.
Hono, Dansby Swanson, both top five in their positions. Ian Happ, who's a top three left fielder. Mainly because left field's kind of weak, but still.
Ian Happ made the All Star game last year because no one else was worthy of making it for the
Exactly.
Cubs.
And he was worthy.
It's
And
very, I don't know.
Wilson Contreras was an all-star, so we had two all-stars.
Right. Well, Contreras deserves it.
Exactly.
Ian
So
Happ,
that
top three left fielder. I don't agree with that.
name me three left fielders you think are better than Ian Happ.
Left fielders better in like the MLB or the National League.
In the MLB.
Oh, you think he's top three in the MLB?
Yeah. It's mainly because like if you think about it, all like the star studded outfielders, none of them are left fielders. Like left field is a weak position.
I mean, yeah, it's a weak position. I mean, I definitely would take Schwarber.
I
I would
consider
take
Schwarber more of a DH, but yeah, if we count him as a left fielder, he's better. Yes.
I'd take Eloy Jimenez all day.
Mm,
I don't think there's any debate on that.
I think there is with based on
In
just
a
last
healthy
season.
season,
Nah,
in a healthy season, he hits 40 home runs.
but he's never had like a fully healthy season.
But even last year, he hit 320 home runs and 300 at bats. So he had half the at bats as Ian Happ. He hit way higher on average, same home
Okay,
runs. I mean,
less at bats makes it easier to have a higher average.
still hit the same home runs and had similar stats all around though.
And Ian Happ was the best defensive left fielder in the National League. I'm not giving you Aloy. I'm not like all lists could be different. I'm not giving Aloy's better than Ian Happ yet.
I don't know. I think he is. I mean, I,
I'd
I don't
say
think it. I think this year with Jimenez playing DH because he's not going to play left field now since we have Benintendi. I think Jimenez is going to have a healthy season. He's going to hit 300. He's going to have 40 home runs, and he's going to be an all star, and no one's going to be ready for it.
I believe it.
I mean, that's been the Sox issue all these years is they put him in left field every year, and he can't play the outfield. He's 6'7" and slow, and he is injury prone. So you put him at DH for 162 games out of the year. He's not going to get hurt, and there's so much ease off his back, just like there was a Bellinger.
Yeah.
I think even Yelich could be better than
Yeah, oh
Ian Happ.
my, we are not going like he was not better. Yelich was not better last year. That's crazy to say that.
I don't know. I I think he could be.
No, we're not talking about could be better. We're talking about better. Like right now, Yelich is not better than Ian Happ right now.
Well, is Benintendi's left fielder?
I
He's
would
better
not
than
say
Ian Happ.
Benintendi. I disagree. Like Benintendi, he hits for a high average. Yes, but he has good defense. Yes, Ian Happ has better defense, better power.
I
Like
think I think Andrew Benintendi is definitely one of the best defensive outfielders in the league.
I agree. So is Ian Happ.
Andrew Benintendi also hits high average. Like he hit
Ian Happ
in the
hits home runs. Like they're two very
well,
different
you don't
players.
need Benintendi to hit home runs though
I know
when
you
the
don't
eight other
need him
guys
to. You
when the
don't
eight
need
other
him
guys in
to.
the lineup can hit home runs. You don't need him to. He just
I know.
puts
I
the glove
agree.
in the average.
Benintendi is the better contact hitter. Ian Happ is the better power hitter. What stays aside is the defense to determine who's better. Ian Happ was the better defender last year. Ian Happ is better than Benintendi.
What do you think the Cubs do with Madrigal?
Dude, I love it. I love Nick Madrigal, and
Well, he's gone. What do you think? What do you think happens with him? He's gone. I hear he's coming back.
he's another player. I want. Is he a
I
Nets
hear he's
player?
coming back to the Sox. No, I'm just saying that's the rumor. He's coming back to the Sox.
What would you offer for him
He's not
back?
worth much. He's not worth much. Like I think we can give you guys like two like mid-level prospects, three mid-level prospects, or
I
like
don't.
a guy like Joe Kelly or Jake Berger and some prospects.
I don't know. I don't feel like we're gonna want prospects. I feel like we're trying to contend now.
We don't have a piece that's worth trading that would help you guys contend, unless you guys want like Joe Kelly or Jake Berger. Because there's no other guys we can give you. Like
Is Jake Borgo a first baseman?
he plays third. Like he hit like
I
he hits home runs. I mean,
don't know.
he's 26. He hit 250 with 8 home runs and 200 at bats.
Um, aside, wouldn't it be hilarious if you traded me that first Bowman Chrome auto of Nick Madrigal, traded? I gave up like so much. Like you traded it to me when he was traded to the Cubs, just for him to go
Yeah,
back to the White Sox.
I would trade for that
That
back
it that,
if he comes
that
back.
no, I'm just saying that would be really fun.
Well, the Sox do need a starting second baseman because
They
right now
do, they do.
they got Lurie Garcia and they've
Yeah,
got Romy Gonzalez and Lennon
right here.
Sosa. None of them are starting second baseman.
I gave up so much for this card.
You did. That went to
Just
shambles.
just for him to go back to the White Sox would be hilarious.
I think I'd give it a good chance that he does go back to the Sox.
I don't know. I mean, I don't
I
really
gave it
feel like he could
at least
play.
15%. At
I don't
least
think
15%.
I don't think he could really play third base. Well, like
He'd be playing second for us.
I'm talking about for if the Cubs kept him. I don't think he could really play
Oh,
third. And I don't
no,
think
I
he can
mean,
teach him. I don't think you can teach him first. And I don't think he's a good enough bat to use him as a DH. And so, like right now, like
well,
he's really just utility.
you wouldn't put him at third because I think Morel and Wisdom play there.
Yeah, but we're not gonna put him at second. That's where Nico's gonna play, and we can't put him at
That
short because that's where Swanson.
that's why he's gonna get traded.
I
I
don't
think
want it to happen.
they're gonna value Morel more than Madrigal off of last year. I think
Hmm.
like Madrigal's awful last year, and I love him, but
He
he
was
was awful.
injured. He was injured all year. Like you could argue
But
he should be on this list.
in the time he was playing, though, he was awful. Like
He
his glove was
struggled.
terrible.
He
He all
struggled.
he is a contact hitter who gets on base, and he couldn't do that. So if he can't hit for contact and get on base, he's nothing.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to hit any home runs. He's not going to hit. It's like that. He's going to get singles and doubles.
He's my guy, though, dude. I love Nick Madrigal. I
He was
love
your
Nick
guy. He
Madrigal. I
was your
mean,
guy. Now I can get a new Sox jersey of him. I
even
should buy
okay,
one right now. I should buy one right now so I get it for like $30. And when he
yeah,
comes back to the Sox, they're gonna be like 150.
you should do that.
I will.
And then if he doesn't, no, I would never own a White Sox jersey. Um, I love Nick Madrigal. I always have. Even if the Cubs do move on from him, I'm still gonna PC him. With that being said, I would probably still trade you the first Bowman back, or at least I have like 3 or 4 autos of him.
So you're still going to
I'm still gonna
you still
PC
PC
Madrigal.
and Jimenez and Cease.
No, not not Jimenez and Cease.
Why? They play in the Cubs.
Yeah, no, but I PC'd Madrigal before he was on the Cubs,
That's true.
and so I, dude, I bought a 1 of 1 auto of him for like $10, like mid season last year.
Yeah,
Steal.
that's like $3 now.
It could be a steal if he figures it out and becomes good.
And this Will Ferrell card could become a steal if he comes out of retirement and becomes Otani. All
That
right,
is true.
we got my next player, Adam Wainwright.
I hate that guy.
Well, okay, pretend you're a Mariners fan, so I can talk about this. Um, so have we seen the end of Wayno, and what will his last season look like? So he looked pretty good in his age 40 season, 2022, 3.7 ERA, over 200 innings pitched. Uh, if the Cardinals make a playoff push, which I think they will, do you think they will?
Yeah, I think they're gonna win the division.
So if they don't go far in the playoffs, could we see Wayno come back for another year looking for a ring? Or Wayno ends it off on a good throwing year and a deep playoff run from St. Louis? I think only time will tell. I mean, we've been expecting him to retire for at least 5 years now. He's been kind of on the decline, up and down for 5 or 7 years. I think it really depends. If he throws like over 4 ERA, I think he retire. If he plays pretty well like last year, maybe he'll stick around. What do you think?
I think this is not even coming from a Cubs bias. I think he should have walked out with Yachty and Pujols. I think he had a good year. Like he declined. You said what? It was a 3.7 ERA.
Which is great for a 40-year-old, but
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that's great for a 40-year-old. But he is declining, and he has had Yadier Molina behind the plate his whole career, and now he
Well, I
has
think that's a
Wilson
big factor.
Contreras.
The catcher he has behind the plate. And I think
It's a bigger factor than people realize.
if they didn't bring in Wilson Contreras, yeah, I'd probably think it's his last year. But now Wilson's there for what, 5 or 6 years, and I think if he really likes how Wilson plays defensively, maybe he'll stick for another year.
I don't know. My thought is him and Yadier were so good together that I think Wilson. I don't think Wilson really plays the same as Yadier does. I think Wainwright's gonna struggle with a new catcher behind the dish. I mean, he has had Yadier Molina for 20 years. He has always had Yadier. And now throwing in a new catcher, I think he's gonna struggle. I think he'll go like a 3.9 or a 4 ERA. I still think he'll be good. I think he'll start off bad, but he'll get his rhythm in. But I think he'll retire after this year after he struggles with a new catcher.
Who you got next?
I got next. You want me to go team or my last player?
Uh, Go player because I got one more player.
Okay. Carlos Correa. Now this might
Hmm.
seem a little weird. I mean,
He's a White Sox. He's a White Sox.
okay. Well,
He fills
maybe.
in our second base gap. It does make sense.
Maybe. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. I'm saying
It
maybe.
makes sense.
Let's be honest. Fell through out of the Giants deal. Now might be losing out on the Mets deal. He has to come in wherever he plays. He has to come in. He has to prove that this injury is nothing. He has to come in. He has to be a top three shortstop, third baseman, second baseman, wherever he plays. He has to go and be top three. Otherwise, the Giants and the Mets are going to be right, and that he's going to be injury prone. And like, even if he has one bad year, his market will be ruined. Like, this is this is make or break for him. Like, no one's ever really been concerned about this injury until this year. And so, like, if he goes in and struggles, then people are going to be like, oh, the injury was right. The Giants and Mets were right. And then his market is tanked and ruined forever. But if he goes out and plays amazing, the Giants and the Mets will be backlashed for being over concerned.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a weird spot because he definitely, he signed that short deal with the
The
Twins,
Twins.
and he was looking to have that bounce back year, not like a bounce back year, but just like an improved season. where people would look at him and get him on a long term deal, and he definitely did. I mean, he hit 300
He played
as
great.
an everyday starter. I don't know. He could have that good year this year, hit 300, 25 home runs, and it could be the same scenario next offseason if he signs a 1 year deal for this year where people are concerned about it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of a blessing in disguise for teams. I think Curry's what? He's like 29, 30. Sign him to a 13-year deal. Like, by the time he's 39, he's not going to be serviceable. And then you're paying him like 20 million a year to ride your bench or even be in the minor leagues.
Well, that's happened with Albert Pujols and the Angels. They signed him on that 8 or 10 year deal, and he was serviceable for the first 4 years. In the last 2 years, he hit 230, 20 home runs, 220, and then they bought him out.
Exactly. Like, I don't agree with giving older players such big contracts unless your name is Mike Trout.
Well, even Trout, like he's very injury prone, and he's obviously a
Yeah,
guy who can't let walk, and he's never going to play in another uniform. But you can't let him walk, and the issue is you just got to pay him what they want. Same with Judge,
yeah,
because that's how valuable they are, and they control the whole market.
yeah.
All right, my last player on my list is Evan Longoria. I think this is Longoria's last season in the big leagues.
I
He
think so
hit
too.
he hit 240 with 15 home runs last year, and I don't expect any of his numbers to improve. I like the signing by Arizona. I think as long as he can, they're like planning on Longoria to mentor some of the young guys in Arizona and
Hmm.
some of the guys in the farm system while in spring training. I don't know. There's a lot of high hopes for Arizona, but with how hard the NL West is, I don't expect them to be at or above 500 for the next couple of years.
I don't
I
know.
think
They're
it's the
building
hard.
something.
They are, but it's not going to work for a while. I think it's the hardest division, the NL West. The
Hmm.
Dodgers and the Padres are neck and neck, and San Francisco's a winning team, and they're in third place. But I think with a
And then
young
you have the
team,
Rockies and the Diamondbacks, who just
yeah, I think with a young team. Oh, sorry, Tommy, but the Rockies they're out of the West for the next decade. Uh,
mhm.
I think with a young team and players locked in on contracts, I think Arizona can really like reestablish their franchise, become a threat in the West. Uh, the tanking will pay off. They've got Drew Jones and they've got a really good farm system. They've got Corbin Carroll. I'm really liking their team this year, and I think they're gonna be fun to watch with how young the team is. But it's a good signing. He's going to mentor some of the young guys.
Yeah, I like the signing, especially because he can help out. Like Jordan Lawlaw comes to mind.
Yeah,
I love Jordan Lawlaw. I got to see him play a couple times. He signed card for me one time when he played Everett. Like I think I think he could use some mentorship though. I feel like he's a star, but like he kind of had a downish year, and I feel like he's just off the essence of being like he's thinking he's the guy, like he's him. Like I feel like he could use an older mentor to like calm him down, bring him back down to earth a little bit.
I agree. Yeah,
So I like that because you have to invite Lalo to spring training.
right. He will. All right. You want to talk to your teams?
Mets. It's similar to the Correa one. Like you go out, you make not really actually. I mean, you spent all this money. You went out and got Cody Senga, Verlander. You re-signed Nimmo to a big contract. Like you have spent so much money in the past few years. You have to go out and win something. And Correa, if they get a deal done, like with all the money you have spent, they have to go and win something.
I'm going to be honest. I don't see them having success in the playoffs this year. Uh, I think they'll. It's a really hard division. The
It
Braves aren't
is.
going to compete in it, but between the Mets and the Phillies, I think it'll be really close.
I think the Braves will compete in it.
I don't think they're competing for first. I think they're going to compete for second or third, or you're like a wild card. But my point is, I think the Phillies are going to end up winning the division. The Mets are going to take second and lose the wild card or be a first round exit, just like they are every year. Because they've been doing this last 2 years, bringing in all these big free agents, Lindor, Baez, uh, Scherzer, and Diaz, and they're not competing in the playoffs. You can bring in all these guys and have a great regular season, but it doesn't matter if you can't compete in the playoffs.
100% agree. And that's why I'm saying, like, I'm not saying they're gonna have success this year, but I'm saying like they need to prove something. They have like they gotta at least make the NLCS to show that this is working and throwing money at all these stars is working. But if
Hmm.
they just lose in the first round again, like at what point do we think they're just wasting their money and wasting their time?
And you mentioned it, but by the way, that Brandon Nimmo contract is horrendous.
Like Brandon Nimmo's a great player, but they overpaid.
He is not going to peak any more than he already has.
Yeah.
I mean, he hit 2021. He had a good year. It was kind of an injury season, but he hit 275 this year with 15 home runs. That's not going much better. I mean, they're going to pay him 160 million to hit 270, 280, 20 home runs. I don't.
A little bit
I
of an
think
overpay.
that money could have been allocated somewhere else better.
That money could have been used to re-sign the draw.
I'm not going to get into it, but that was kind of horrendous.
Yeah. I don't know about horrendous, but it was an overpay for sure.
Yeah. All right. My one team I have, I got a team I think is going to crash this year, and that's Texas Rangers.
Oh, that's my next one too.
So I was kind of looking into this last night for a while, but while Texas has stayed like extremely competitive in free agency this last 2 years, they lack one thing, and that's offense. I think, in my
What's
opinion,
funny is real quick, sorry. What's funny is last year we were saying all the war was lacking pitching at this point when they signed Corey Seager and Marcus Semien.
well, that's what I'm going to get into though, because
I know. But like
they,
now it's like the opposite.
right, because in my opinion, offense wins games. You can have the best rotation in the world that's never going to runs, but you can have a terrible offense.
Just ask like the 2016 Mets.
Yes, like you need runs are what win the game, not the pitching. Well, pitching helps, but the offense is the bigger part. And they've managed to bolster the rotation. They've got a great rotation, but their offense, I don't see them being successful with the offense. They're not going to put runs on the board, and that's what you need to win games. Uh, they spent the money last year. They spent like what 500 million last year on Semien and Seager.
Mm-hmm.
Semien hit 250, 25 home runs. It's an okay season, but not for what they're paying him. They're expecting him to hit. He had 50 home runs here before Toronto. That's what they were looking for.
And
Corey
that's not what
Seager,
they got.
yeah, Corey Seager, 350 million. Another guy, he hit 250 or 30 home runs. So that's two okay stats. I'm not going to argue about those. The issue is the other seven guys in the lineup.
I mean, Adolis Garcia is solid.
He had a good first half, and then he fell off. Nathan or Nathaniel Lowy,
He's
he
all
had a
right.
he had an okay season. The rest of this team is garbage. They've got no
Yeah.
bench depth either. They got no guys on the bench. Like if you're looking to compete, these aren't guys that are going to help them
They
chase
needed to sign
contention.
Brennan Drury, probably.
They need to sign more guys. I mean, they obviously don't have much more money now, but
Fourth in the
I think like
division.
I think a
I
good guy
think
they could sign is Michael Conforto because he could go out there and he could hit.
Conforto signed with the Giants.
He did.
Yeah.
I
They should have gotten
oh,
like Conforto or
never
Ed
mind.
McHenry though
Scratch that.
too.
Scratch that. Uh,
Would have been a great fit though. I agree.
I mean, I think if they're looking to win now, I think just signing guys right now would be their big help. But I, I don't know. I don't see them being much of a threat for the MLB in the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs.
I think
I
it's
mean,
gonna
you
go Astros, Manos, Angels, Rangers, Athletics. I think they're gonna be fourth in the division.
it's another hard division too. I
Yeah.
think the Astros are a lock for the playoffs. I'll give this one to you. The Mariners are a lock for the playoffs.
I don't know. I wouldn't say we're a lock. I feel like
All
the
right, I'm not going to say
Angels
lock. Let me go back.
really did make some moves.
The Astros are a lock. The Mariners
Yeah,
have a good chance.
good
The
chance.
Angels, I think, also have a good chance.
I
I think
agree.
it's very easy for the Rangers to play 500 ball and be fourth in the West.
I wouldn't be surprised like if Semien and Seager play at the peak level like they did the year before they signed the big contracts. The Rangers could sneak into the playoffs if the Angels don't play well.
That's at
Like
their best, though.
that's at the best. Yes, that's at the best, and it's unlikely, but there is a chance.
I think there's a chance. I'm not going to rule it out. Like the Athletics making the playoffs, we can rule that out.
Yeah,
But
no, not happening.
you got any other teams?
Oh no, my last team was the Rangers too.
All right.
Kind of
I'm glad we
went
connected on
together.
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we agreed.
we we don't often agree too.
Yeah, well, that's like kind of a bad way to put it. I mean, it's just like it's the crosstown rivals, the White Sox versus the Cubs. It's hard for us to agree.
Yeah,
You want to do the sign?
I've never done the sign. What I say?
So an example is one of the older ones was listen to the sign. It's a listen to the sign, or something bad happens to you.
All
Like,
right,
but
listen
like
to the
funny.
sign. I got to get one. Listen to the sign, or else the Cubs and the Mariners won't make the playoffs.
Yeah,
Don't listen
you
to the sign.
listen. No, you have to. You want them to listen to the sign.
Oh, sorry. Listen to the sign. Otherwise, Justin will stop uploading.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's a dangerous one.
it is.
That is a dangerous one.
That is a very dangerous one.
Ooh, you better listen to the sign now. Listen to it right there. I can't read it because I don't have my glasses on, but
How many subscribers are we at right now?
I think like 120.
All right, there we go.
Hey, Dylan, thanks for coming on. I had a grand time.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for all who listened. We'll be back next week. I don't know. Tommy usually does the outro. I'm not good at it.
See you next week.
See you next week.